Welcome back, everybody. This is a bonus episode of For the Republic. Actually, no, we're just doing another episode this week because we have breaking news. The Colorado State Supreme Court has announced that Donald Trump is uneligible and disqualified from appearing on their primary ballot and potentially the 2024 general election ballot. In a decision 4-3 by the state Supreme Court, known as one of the more liberal courts in the country, they decided that because of Section 3, or according to Section 3, Article 3, I think Article 3 or Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, that determined that Donald Trump, guilty of leading an insurrection, would not be able to appear on the state primary ballot. Um, that was the news that came out. Democrats across the country, including the president, have already cheered on the decision, saying that this is a win for democracy. People like AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, have already come out and tweeted, "The democracy finally won." People like Rachel Maddow have said, "You know what? This happens in democracies. Your political opponents can
Oh,
just decide that you can not appear on a state ballot." And Kamala Harris has provided some of the wisest commentary I've heard. Is this is the most election ever? And I agree. This is the most election ever.
it is the most election ever. Yep.
It is. It's the most election ever. On the right, it's been twisted. It's been half and half. Obviously, we're in a primary season, right? So people are looking
Mhm.
for political reasons to support or not support. But I think, you know, Trump has said this before, and it's not something that he's the only one who says. We've been saying this a long time. It's whenever we see these major decisions in favor of liberals or the socialists, we always say at the end, it doesn't stop there. They're not gonna when they pass gun control laws, they're not trying to just pass a red flag law. They really want to take your guns away at the end because they're activists and the more hardline members of their party who are more in touch with their actual constituency. They say things like that. They do want to get rid of your guns. They do want to confiscate. They do want to prohibit you from having guns and defending your home, despite creating some of the most dangerous neighborhoods and communities and cities, or running the most dangerous cities in the country. That's what they're doing. It's a banana republic, and this is just more proof of that. I mean, when Trump says they're not going after him, they're going after you, and he's just in the way, he's absolutely right. Anybody who's going to assume that because Donald Trump's out of the way and no longer in any has any influence or has any chance of being president again, because that's the reality. If Donald Trump had just stayed home and taken the Jimmy Carter route and said, you know what, I'm going to stay home and give way to someone else who may be more popular or maybe more vibrant or in touch with the times, they wouldn't be going after him. There would never be any of these cases. Maybe they try to get him, maybe they try to pester him, maybe they would, make sure that he has no ability, like, tax him, fine him, etc., to make sure he never has any influence in anything ever again. Um, but no, they're doing this because he potentially and hopefully will be the next president, and they are afraid of the next 4 years, not because he's a fascist, not because they think he's a fascist, or because he's going to become the next Hitler, even though, I mean, just historically ignorant and incompetent. They're afraid because
Very.
of the change, because he is the only candidate in the last 10 to 20 years who has taken on the establishment and in many cases won. He defeated the madam of the US establishment, Hillary Clinton, in 2016. No one thought that could be possible with him, but he did it. I mean, sometimes I think we forget where we are today. I can remember back in 2015, nobody was talking about the deep state. Ron DeSantis was, no one knew who the hell he was. Chip Roy,
Was never
the
around.
Texas congressman who's now a DeSantis sycophant and campaigning in Iowa all the time, he wasn't even in Congress. He would have never been in Congress. I keep hearing talks about, oh, but the Freedom Caucus existed. The Freedom Caucus never did anything positive. The Freedom Caucus was the beginning of a movement, but the MAGA movement superseded it because it was a massive and it attracted people from all walks of life. It attracted minorities, people who are blue collar, not just the typical financier, white collar workers that want low taxes and want the government off their back in terms of deregulation. But they did nothing. So I've been having to lately, even before this, just talk about online, saying, you know what? Remember what it was like before he even showed up. Ron DeSantis could have never been governor of Florida. He could have never been it. He wouldn't have existed. No one would have ever known who he
He,
was.
he
So
wouldn't win. No.
no, no, I mean, Not just win, we wouldn't know who he is. And that's the bigger point.
Oh, before governor. Okay.
Nobody knew who he was in 2016. Nobody knew who he was in 2018 before Trump endorsed him.
Right, right.
I don't even give a damn about winning. I want you to tell me if you knew who he was in 2017, 2018. You didn't. No one knew. His own district didn't know him. He talked about that when he was on Patrick Bet-David. But people just change all of a sudden when they have aspirations or ambitions or for themselves personally, not for the country, for themselves. They change. When they get a higher position, they change. They think that they got there with no help from anyone outside of themselves. But then you see other people who stay grounded, like Vivek, who came out and said, "You know what? I'm going to take myself off the ballot in the Colorado primary until he's put back on because this is not this first of all, it's not fair, it's undemocratic, it's draconian, and it's really fascist. Where a state government controlled by your political opposition is telling you, yeah, you can't the voters of the state can't choose to vote for the person they most likely would want to vote for. They don't have that right.
Hmm.
We decide that. That's fascist. That's literally
It is.
fascist. The literal thing that they don't like.
Yeah. And I do like where Vivek is coming from and how he's standing up for Trump, and he's also expecting other Republican candidates to do the same thing as well. Well, you wouldn't imagine Chris Christie, Nikki
They're
Haley,
not.
and
What's
they're
surprising?
not going to do it at all. No,
No, but what's surprising, and maybe they don't have to, maybe they don't want to, maybe they think it's pointless because
it's
it's
up
really
to
quick.
them.
But right after that, the Colorado Republican Party said, "Hey, Vivek, you don't have to take out the primary because if this continues, we're going to eliminate the primary and start a caucus." Which is different from a primary, where in a caucus, groups of people show up to locations. It's kind of complicated. It's like old fashioned. People just show up at voting centers, and that decides. And the most people sort of kind of decides the vote.
Hmm.
You gotta
Okay,
give like a note, like an intent to vote for somebody. It's different from a primary where it's like a traditional ballot and you choose. You sort of go
okay,
and support the person, which is what the Iowa is.
right. Hmm.
And that's a really good, and that just shows you that even the Colorado State Party is much more in line with, and it's not really, it's about Trump, but it's not about Trump because Vivek isn't doing this just because of Trump. We're doing this because it's wrong regardless. And in addition, we know why they're doing it. They're doing it because they refuse to allow Trump the right to run in a free election. They refuse to do that because he's such a threat to their regime, to their mafia, to their cabal. That's why he is the biggest threat. In fact, he's the only biggest threat. But other people, and even Chris Christie came out and made a statement after Vivek, and he said, he didn't comment on the getting off the ballot, but he said pretty
What you
much,
said.
but he pretty much came out and said this is illegal, it's unconstitutional, it's not right, and
Okay,
the
there you
voters
go.
should be able to decide who they want. If Donald Trump
Right,
loses, it should be at the ballot box. And no, that's right. I mean,
right,
and he's not coming from a place that good because that means
right.
I'll be on there. Or no, he's coming from a place. You know what? I don't like him, and Christie doesn't like Trump, but he's saying he should be on the ballot and he should lose on the ballot. I mean, that's ridiculous. Obviously, we know he's not going to lose to Chris Christie in Colorado, but that's not really the point. The point is he should have the right to be on the ballot. He's done nothing wrong. Nikki Haley's come out. Ron DeSantis took forever, despite being a Yale educated lawyer. It took forever.
Right.
And on Twitter, his reaction was he didn't make an independent post outlining what he thought of it or saying, "Hey, I think it's wrong." The only thing he did was he quoted a tweet from Senator Mike Lee of Utah and wrote, "Yeah, this is wrong. It's going to be reversed. It's fine." Nothing. That's it. He didn't mention any support. No,
Wasn't worried.
no. It's going to be reversed. And then he came out today saying the most ludicrous things I've ever heard him say, just showing off, the fact first of all, how unlikable he is and his supporters are, and also how unbearable he will, and how he's just not going to get the MAGA vote now in the future or ever again. He's ruined himself. Nikki Haley had a better
Hmm.
response. The Warhawk had a better response than a Yale-educated lawyer. She effectively said the same thing as Christie. It's it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. The Supreme Court should reverse this. And I'm gonna. And she said, and she added, funny because it's not going to happen. It's hilarious that she thinks this way, but it's fine. Be competitive. Where she says effectively, yeah, I'm gonna beat Donald Trump in the polls, The court's not going to decide who wins. I'm going to beat him at the election.
Right.
Right? It's ridiculous for her to think that, but still, it's competitive. What is she going to say? Oh yeah, Donald Trump was going to win. How dare she's running against the guy. But that's a better response than DeSantis saying, in Florida. Like, oh come on, man. And so I have video here to show you pretty much the reactions. And
You can't expect much from him, man. Come on.
so I'm going to start with Vivek's reaction. We'll get here.
My brother.
Yeah, your cousin.
They have just tried to bar President Trump from the Colorado ballot using an unconstitutional maneuver that is a bastardization of the 14th Amendment to our U.S. Constitution. This was a provision, Section 3, that was designed to bar Confederate members, people who switched to the Confederacy, from actually being able to serve. That's very different than what's at issue here, to say the least. This is a hollowed out husk of what the country was built on. The basic principle that we, the people, select our leadership, not the unelected elite class in the back of palace halls. That's old world Europe, not the United States. That's why I'm making a pledge today that I will withdraw. I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot unless and until Trump's name is restored. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie and Nikki Haley do the same thing, or else these Republicans are simply complicit in this unconstitutional attack on the way we conduct our constitutional republic. I refuse to be complicit in that. I think what they're doing is wrong, and I think it's up to Republicans to step up and stand up with a spine for our country's future. That's really what's at stake, whether we, the people, actually have a say in deciding who leads this country. Yes, it would be easier for other Republicans like me who are running in this race to say, hey, if Trump is sidelined, there's our opportunity. No doubt other candidates are probably privately celebrating with their corporate sponsors. That's not the right thing to do. I think the most useful thing that every GOP candidate can do right now is to join me in that pledge. I'll say that I will withdraw from that Colorado GOP primary ballot until Trump's name is restored. This belongs to the people, not to the unelected Democratic cabal of judges in Colorado or any other state. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Chris Christie do the same thing, or else they're complicit in what this security state is trying to do to shut down Trump. I stand by that, and I expect them to do the right thing.
Good one.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like that's and the ending is, well, it would be expedient for others to say, yeah, you know what, without Trump, I would be fine. But that's not right. It doesn't make it right. Okay, well, what? If they don't like you, they'll do the same thing to you. It's opening Pandora's box.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
If I don't like you, if I, the state, or the people these unelected judges say, I don't like you because of your rhetoric, you can pretty much accuse anybody of an insurrection. January 6th may be a riot at most, but we know it's not an insurrection. These people went to the DC unarmed. They went unarmed. That's an insurrection? Seriously? And for the judges to say that
Democrats are... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's ridiculous.
No, I was just gonna say, like, Democrats are very scared when it comes to January 6th. Like, they think that January 6th happened like every single day. And the fact that Colorado want to make that decision. I was actually surprised Colorado did that first. I was gonna say that New York was probably gonna go for that. Just to bar Trump out of the ballots. I thought New York was gonna do that first.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if other states start doing the same thing now that Colorado has done it. It's opening Pandora's box and pretty much saying, you know what,
California just talked about wanting to do the same thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if Pennsylvania. I wouldn't be surprised if key states in the battleground, let's say Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, I wouldn't be surprised if they start doing the same things. Although Minnesota, they were the first ones who saw this case or a similar case in their own state. And the Minnesota Supreme Court said, yeah, we're not touching this. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back and touch it again. But let's listen to Ron DeSantis, one of the things he said on Newsmax.
And real quick, fellow GOP 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy saying he will remove himself from the Colorado ballot unless Trump's eligibility is restored. Would you do the same?
No, I think that's just playing into the left. I think the case will get overturned by the Supreme Court, but I've qualified for all the ballots. I'm competing in all the states. and I'm going to accumulate the delegates necessary. That's the whole name of the game in this situation. But I do anticipate that decision was political and will get reversed.
All right, Governor Ron DeSantis, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks.
Dude talks about the name of the game. Dude, the game is not even fair right now. What do you mean?
Such a snake move to just mention, oh, I'm in all states. I'm on all the ballots. I can accumulate all the delegates because in Florida, buddy, you're down by like 60 points to Donald Trump. This is what Vivek is saying. This is what Vivek is saying. These are people that privately, and he's doing it sort of publicly now, that are cheering on the fact that he's out of the way. I'm sure the DeSantis camp was cheering, and we talked about this when DeSantis first announced. We all knew that there was only one way DeSantis could ever be the nominee, and if it's Trump is sidelined by legal issues or legal issues vis-a-vis the deep state and the Democratic regime telling us you can't vote for him. He can't be your president because we don't like him. He cannot be the president. That's the only way, and they know that. I think that was a major calculation. And perhaps even perhaps not just a calculation. I wouldn't be surprised if they like the fact that he's going to be sidelined. Not only will it let them be president potentially, but these are people that are backed by rhinos and snakes and filth. The DeSantis camp is backed by people. Tucker said it best, even though he's catching heat for it. He's not wrong. He's backed by Wall Street financiers, deep state rhinos, and people that have no idea how to think. These are sycophants. And it's disgusting for him to say, oh, you know what? Yeah, it sucks. It's going to be reversed. But you know what? I have my name's on all the ballots. I'm available in all the states. It's disgusting. Completely disgusting. And then he made another comment. We're going to go to another comment. I'm going to share all the comments that were made. Here we go.
West Side.
This is him effectively at a campaign, just talking more about it. It doesn't get better.
I think the U.S. Supreme Court is going to reverse that. But here's the larger thing of what the left and the media and the Democrats are doing. They're doing all this stuff to basically solidify support in the primary for him, get him into the general, and the whole general election is going to be all this legal stuff. And look, it's unfair. They're abusing power 100%. But the question is that going to work? And I think they have a playbook that unfortunately will work, and it'll give Biden or the Democrat or whoever the ability to skate through this thing. That's their plan. That's what they want. What they don't want is to have somebody like me who will make the election not about all those other issues, but will make the election about the failures of Biden, the failures of the left, and how we're going to be able to turn the country.
Again, just saying, yeah, you know what? It's who cares? Because I'm available and I'm Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis. It's disgusting to say, oh, you know what? It's going to work. His team and his supporters have been bitching at the fact, and they've been saying this for a while, that the Democrats want Trump to be the nominee. That's ridiculous. Why would they want him to be the president again? They keep talking and talking and talking about how the country doesn't want 4 more years of Trump. It can't survive on 4 more years of Trump. He's a Hitler. He's a fascist. He's this. Why would they want him to be the nominee? Why? Because he's going to lose? When you see his poll numbers are way better than yours? When you see the poll numbers are keep increasing? That you seriously believe?
What to think, yeah.
You seriously believe that that's what's going to happen? That they're doing this because they want him? They noticed last time they pulled a stunt like this, when they indicted him, his poll numbers kept going up. He kept getting more money from average people. His donations went up. You really think that people are going to fall for this? People
he might get more votes after this too,
and he's going to get more votes after this. Exactly. I mean, it's ridiculous because it's selfish. He's a snake. That's why he's only out this for himself and to profit on this because he wants power. His wife wants influence and access. I mean, it's ridiculous. He can't find it in himself to realize, and he won't because he knows it doesn't benefit it. He can't say what Nikki Haley said, and we'll get to what Nikki Haley said. He can't get to what Chris Christie said. He can't do. I mean, you don't have to go as far as Vivek, but Vivek and Trump are the only ones in this race who are actually pointing out how corrupt the system is, how deep the corruption runs. Why? Because DeSantis doesn't care about that. He's not fighting the deep state. He won't. If he cared about fighting the deep state, he'd point this out at what it is. He would, but he's not going to. So we're going to listen to Nikki Haley, that'll be the final for this. Right here. Oh, 1 second. It's the wrong
She has
one.
a strong chin.
Okay, no, that's the one. Yeah, it's Nikki Haley /1. Okay. My bad. All right, let's into
That
her.
is not a
Oh,
democracy.
Do you think that this is an injustice, this Colorado decision, and do you think it's wrongly decided by this court?
Thank you, Martha. I think this is, it goes back to our country being in disarray. The idea that judges are going to take it upon themselves to decide who can and can't be on the ballot is truly unthinkable. And I think the people of Colorado should be furious. I am going to defeat Donald Trump on my own. I don't need a judge to go take him off the ballot. I don't think he should be president. I think I should be president. I think our country would do a lot better if I was. But we should have this race fair and square with him on the ballot just like everybody else. And the idea that we would go and say, just because these liberal justices don't like him, they want to take him off the ballot, that's not a democracy. That's not who we are. That's not what we need to do.
and that's exactly what DeSantis could have said instead of saying, "Oh yeah, I have all the delegates. I have all the delegates." No, you should say,
It's all right. They can overturn it. So what?
Yeah, so what? It doesn't matter. It's like, wait, what? I mean, for a Yale-educated lawyer, this is the most idiotic thing I ever heard in my life. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, and this is why he's such a dumpster fire as a candidate. He's lost it. He's lost it. He's done. He's absolutely done. It's an atrocious decision. You should say that. I mean, Nikki Haley, again, we're laughing when she says, "I'm gonna beat him." But you know what? She's in a competition. What is she gonna say?
Yeah.
That I'm losing?
Yeah.
That I'm gonna try? No, she's right. I should be able to win the election fair and square. Do you think she wants to win the election because Trump's not on the ballot? No. She wants to win the election with him on the ballot to say, "Yeah, I beat him." Vivek wants the same. Christie wants the same. DeSantis wants the same, but he won't say it. Or he's saying it in another way, in a snobby, snarkish way of saying, "Yeah, I'm the ballot. You should choose me. Choose me because in Florida, I'm on the ballot." It's like, what? What is this ridiculous? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, like every time you will want to hear Ron DeSantis, dude sounds like a man child sometimes.
No, he is. He's snobby. He's just bitchy all the time. He has zero charisma. I just don't understand what the appeal is. I get it. In Florida, he's done some things good. Are we trying to pretend that 2018 to mid 2020 was an amazing year for Florida? Or was it after COVID, or was it during or after COVID, where he did things differently than the Democratic states? Maybe that's it. But this idea that for 4 years he had been this firebrand, no, he wasn't. He wasn't. He sold his soul to the insurance companies that have raised rates astronomically year after year. That is not a conservative thing to do. And then just so many things. It's just insane to me. Insane. All right, but we're gonna move. Do you have any thoughts on this while we wrap up on any of those videos? Just what are your overall thoughts?
I mean, yeah, like Vivek and Nikki Haley did the thing. I am just waiting on California. Honestly, California have mentioned that they might want to go do the same route as Colorado. But I kind of want to ask you, what? So everyone mentioned that he can go ahead and overturn Colorado's decision. What are some steps that he can do? What are some steps Trump can do to overturn the
Well, they've
decision?
appealed this. They've appealed this. They're hoping that the Supreme Court will take up the case and overrule it. That's really all they really can do.
Okay.
The Supreme Court has to take up has to decide that yes, we're going to take the case. Hopefully they do. They should. I think it would be normal if they did. I think the Supreme Court is going to ask. I think the court is going to ask the Supreme Court to decide this, and they're going to say they should say no because it doesn't make sense. Section 3. So Section 3 pretty much says that Congress has the authority to bar individuals who engage in insurrection from holding public office. That was only meant for the Confederate soldiers. They wanted the Confederate leaders to be unable of holding public office ever again in the country. People who engaged in insurrection. That's what they were trying to prevent when they passed this. Congress decides on, not a court. So I think they should. And I wouldn't be surprised. Remember, Colorado has a liberal court. It has one of the most liberal courts.
Yeah.
I think all of them were appointed by Democratic governors in their history. there are Republicans now. Conservatives have a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. I wouldn't be surprised if a Democrat or two. I wouldn't be surprised if Elena Kagan moved on, joined the Republicans, and said, "You know what? I don't like this because it's vengeful." She has commented that she doesn't like it when vindictive cases come to the court. Things that would create a precedent that yes, you can be vindictive to political opponents. I think this is one of those cases. I wouldn't be surprised if she does it. I wouldn't. I would be I would be slightly surprised if Sotomayor and Jackson join. If it's a 9-0 decision, I would be completely surprised, but very proud at the same time. But it should be. It should be because it's ridiculous. It's not there. There are no constitutional merits. When people who dislike Donald Trump, including Democrats, some Democrats say, "Yeah, this is illegal. This is unconstitutional." Yeah. When they come out and say that, I think that the Supreme Court should come out and reverse it. 9-0 would be amazing. Same thing with the Jack Smith case regarding the immunity or non-immunity. That's something that's coming up. But yeah, let's move on to the next topic. Let's discuss. I'm going to bring a surprise topic here for you. We have a report that concludes that Xi Jinping, on his visit in November to San Francisco, when the governor of California cleaned up the streets, proving once and for all that it's not whether they can, it's whether they want to, informed Biden and his team that it wasn't a matter of how, it was only a matter of when they will invade Taiwan. That the unification of China regarding Taiwan back into China was a sure thing. In fact, again, it's going to happen. The question is when. Now, the FBI director, came out and reported that the Chinese would be potentially looking at the year 2027 in order to conduct such an operation, and that's when, effectively, on their estimates, that's when China would be ready for such an invasion of Taiwan. We were all led to believe that when Xi Jinping came, we kept talking things about peace. We got panda bears, bamboo, stuff like that. That's kind of what the gist of the trip was. It was just friendship. It was a renewal of peace. Right. Now we're finding out that Xi Jinping came and told them, yeah, no, we're not changing our steps. We want Taiwan, and we're going to do it. It's not a matter of if we are. It's when are we going to do it, and that it would happen. I don't think he said it was imminent, but I think he said it was going to happen in the future. And in 2027 is only 3 years away soon. So that's something that caught my eye. What are your thoughts on that?
That's interesting, actually, because we all thought that 2024 might be that year, not 2027. But wow, I didn't even know that. I thought they had that little meeting because of bringing up another pandemic. What's that?
Oh, what? That's ridiculous.
Was that new virus that's gonna bring out
God,
pneumonia?
You really thought he flew here to talk about a new virus?
Hey, Biden, we're gonna bring out another virus so you can win. Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. No way.
Yeah, no, that's I don't know.
No, I'm surprised that this came out, but I'm not shocked. I mean, to think that the Chinese were just going to stop their future vision of conquest because Biden is friends with Xi in his imagination, or because they like us, or we cleaned up streets for a day or 24 hours. That's completely ridiculous. That wasn't going to happen. The Chinese want this. This is their next step in becoming a geopolitical juggernaut. They want to show that they are the predominant force in their region of the world, that they will dictate terms and effectively the future of nations neighboring them in Asia. That is South Korea, Japan. It's pressuring Australia, our allies in the region, Philippines, who they've had military and borderly disputes with, and they have border disputes with many countries in East Asia, including India. We talked in a couple episodes ago where they redrew a map, and effectively every single border dispute that they have with many neighboring countries was effectively now Chinese. It was in their favor. That was the new map of the world. They're redefining history. They are the future imperialists. That's what they want. They want the Soviet Union, which was also an imperialist sort of country. It absorbed countries, it influenced countries. It was the puppet master of many countries that were supposedly free, but really just satellite states. That's what China wants. They're trying to buy their way instead of ideologically getting there, even though, I mean, ideologically it's already planted in. The Soviet Union did that. But I think they're trying to buy their way. Now they're trying to conquer their way. I don't think Taiwan's the
Okay.
only thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they, in the future, want to take, Myanmar or Laos or Cambodia or whatever, or Bahrain, not Bahrain, I mean, Bhutan or Mongolia or
Mm.
or Tibet completely. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be completely shocked about that. That's what they do. That's their business. I think they're going to find out though that it's tougher than it is. I think they can beat. I think they can win in Taiwan. Taiwan is outmanned. It's tiny. It's completely small. They're not going to. But their future
Yeah, for
conquest,
sure.
right, it's going to be difficult. They're not. Same thing's going to happen in India. Same thing's going to happen to other countries. World being on the world stage is a different game. It's not. It's not for everybody. It's not.
Mm.
You have to have. It's just because you have a call center business doesn't really mean you can rule the world. In fact, you
Yeah.
shouldn't rule the world.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, jokes aside, I mean, yeah, that was shocking for me to learn today. Again, we've talked about it. Would I be shocked
Yeah, we
if
did.
if Biden says a lot of strong things and says to the Americans, we're not going to let China take the Taiwanese, but then has a phone call with the Taiwanese president and says, you know what, hey, if the Chinese come in guns blazing, just stand down, just let it happen, just surrender, and just say, oh yeah, the Taiwanese didn't want to fight. That's it. Like he did in Afghanistan, where he effectively he talked to the leader of Afghanistan and said, just pretend you're fighting. Just pretend you're continuing the fighting, that you're winning. Just say you're winning. And then we realized, oh yeah, no, they were losing the whole time and they just surrendered. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I would not be surprised if that happens. I don't think the Taiwanese at some point, I think the Chinese are trying to create an environment where once the Chinese deploy their forces and are at Taiwan's doorstep, the Taiwanese people just give up and say, yeah, we can't do this. We can't even resist them. We would be annihilated. I think that's what China wants to do first and foremost. They told the Biden team, hey, we urge you to sign a proclamation signed with us that you support the reunification of Taiwan with China. The Biden team said no. Surprising. I mean, they said no, not surprisingly. I think they agree on that. But the Biden team said no, that they would not support a joint Chinese American declaration saying that Taiwan was or belonged to China. That's what the Chinese came to say. They were like, "Hey, we're going to take it over. We're not going to tell you when, but it's definitely going to happen. And
Yeah.
sign this letter with us saying you support us." That's what they came to tell us, pretty much. But I do think that what I just outlined could be. That's my theory on what could happen. Because I don't think the Taiwanese. That's two things. Yeah, I think the mental exhaustion will happen where they'll just say, you know what, we don't want it. And then two, Biden might just give it up and say, yeah, just pretend. Same thing, Afghanistan route.
I mean, Biden gives up a lot of things. Well, I kind of want to ask you, do you think they're doing the same thing with Ukraine? Like, just pretend that you were
Well,
fighting?
Ukraine was
And
no, because Ukraine was a surprise war. No one we sort of gained intelligence as it was happening. If you go back and remember, we kind of heard it sort of whispers that yeah, Russia, remember, aren't
yeah,
putting forces
we've been hearing that
east,
before. Yeah.
west, and then out of nowhere it just started. It wasn't a
Yeah.
thing that we knew from today. Like, it's just a report that 2027 is a thing. But we'd been hearing about Taiwanese reunification for years now, since 2019. Trump commented on it and said that he would never allow it. It had been a thing.
Mhm.
Ukraine really wasn't. It wasn't a thing. It just came out of nowhere. I remember what I told you. I thought that the civil war in Belarus would become the new regime change country. That didn't happen. It happened right next door. It happened south of Belarus. It happened in Ukraine. So I was wrong. But yeah, I think it's different. Ukraine was a civil war that has now become a full-fledged war. But it was already a civil war. It's not like Taiwan. It was already a civil war. Remember, the U.S. and the Russians had been meddling in Ukraine for a while now. It's not like in Taiwan, where
Yeah.
Taiwan still is mostly aligned with the West, with the
Mhm.
Americans, anti-Chinese. It's different. Also, Ukraine is a
Mhm.
massive country, massive, massive country. with lots of people. Do I think that they're just going to give it up? No, they can't, because this is their pet project. I think above anything else, they despise Vladimir Putin. And I wouldn't be surprised if China wants us to continue the war, not just for you, not because of the Taiwanese aspect, but if the Chinese and the Russians have their way, it's going to be Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin at the end, and only one can be on top. Can't be both of them. And Putin's old, and if Xi Jinping makes it that far, in terms of he holds on to power, I mean, what's going to happen next? You think Xi Jinping's going to just sit there and let Putin, best buddies, just rule the world together? No, that's not going to happen.
He's like what? He's like what, in his 50s? Xi Jinping, or 60s?
He might be 60. He might be 60, but we know Putin's in his late 60s. So yeah. All right, that was just a brief topic right there. Yeah, let's just move on. We were going to discuss the
that was an
Jeffrey
interesting
Epstein.
one.
Jeffrey Epstein, a judge from the Southern District of New York, a conservative leading judge who has served as an advisory on the Federalist Society, has ordered the release of over 150 names in the Epstein case, which were previously redacted and hidden for, obviously, privacy. Now, these 150 names will be people that were involved in sex trade, have been recorded being passengers on the plane to the island, perhaps once or twice, and could be financial partners or investors or in business with Mr. Epstein. Now, Virginia Goffrey, I think that's her name, how I say her last name, commented that several presidents will be revealed to be close associates of Mr. Epstein once these 150 names are released. Earlier this week, Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee submitted a proposal, pretty much asking that the Senate release these names and release information. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois declined and denied that that petition, effectively blocking anyone from knowing more about this. A Republican congressman, I think also from Tennessee, his name is Tim, I forget his last name, but he came out and also petitioned for James Comer, the leader, I think, of the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, I think, to do the same, to come and release them out. Now that the House is being led by Republicans, and we'll see where that goes. But now a judge has ordered them to come out. This has been a long term's waiting. I think it's surprising that it's actually happened.
Yeah.
All hands on deck on protecting this judge. She is a hero for doing this. You know, when I hear Democrats talk about government transparency, and when they talk about authenticity and protecting and freedom of speech and journalism and how much they care about all those things, and then watch them do a complete 180 when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, it should remind you that these are people that do not speak truth to power. In fact, they defend it. They protect it, because many of them are puppets, stooges, and oftentimes very stupid and very miserable people that have no talent.
Yeah.
And all they can do is serve their masters and serve the people that control them in every aspect of their lives. And so I'm very happy and looking forward. I wouldn't be surprised if she's right. Now, when she says several presidents, is she saying American presidents? Because I find that very odd. The timeline is what confuses me. I've stopped paying attention to this. I'm not going to ask. Don't even bother Googling the timeline of Jeffrey Epstein's career, because that's a waste of time. Because I do know that he was active in the 90s. Now, I've heard rumors that he was active in the 80s. I don't know. That's why I've lost track of the timeline. But I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, Bill Clinton. I would be shocked if I saw the Bushes on there, but not completely surprised.
The real question
Obama,
is,
I can see, but I don't know, because I don't think they ever crossed paths. I think they were just.
I don't know about the Obamas.
Trump could be on that list, not as a passenger, but someone who was associated to be around him. Yes, because he's admitted that and he's stopped. RFK Jr. has admitted that.
I think RFK Jr. Yeah, right.
And others, I wouldn't be surprised if we see governors. We know Jerry Richardson, former governor of New Mexico, was pretty much, known to be not just a passenger, but was reported by people testifying in that case of having sex with children alongside Jeffrey Epstein. That was one of the names. I think there would be other potential. I wouldn't be surprised if there are other cabinet members, Democrat and Republicans alike. The Republican congressman I mentioned, he pretty much said that the he believes that it's been delayed because Congress is compromised. And I would agree. I don't think that it would be completely shocking if current members of Congress, even former members of Congress that served in the late 90s and thousands and early tens or late
That would be
10s,
disgusting.
I wouldn't be shocked if we had names of people that were associated with him then. Um, I think his major activity was in the 90s and 2000s. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever have confirmed knowledge, although we do now know that he was a CIA asset. I don't think we'll have a confirmation of how deep it ran. I don't think we'll ever know how significant um, the implications, or significantly how, let's say, how deep he got into certain avenues, or influencing people. Who did he work for? Who did he work with? Who did he report to? Those type of things. I wouldn't be completely shocked if we never found out. And I think that's probably the more important thing, of actually uncovering what's behind him, because he has to work for somebody. He wasn't his own man. There's a reason why he
No.
was
Oh
outed.
no. Oh no.
People like that don't just get outed like that mysteriously. He was working for somebody. He was a tool, and we know the CIA. But I want to know. I would love to know what are the entities behind that. That he supported. I wouldn't be surprised if there are Israeli presidents, because he was also big in Israel.
I think a lot of people mentioned that too. Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he was rumored to be along with Saudi, or with not Saudi but Arab people. He was Jewish, but guess what? The Saudis, not the Saudi. I keep saying the Saudis. I wouldn't be surprised if they're involved too. But I'm saying with the Arab leaders. I wouldn't be surprised if there are Arab leaders that are associated with him. Look, they hate Jews, but they don't hate money, and they won't let a Jew become. They won't let. Hey, they're not letting any Jews bother get in the way of another dollar. They're not. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are any of any Arab leaders
There's
involved.
also one guy that we mentioned in one of the episodes, Prince Andrew.
Who?
Prince Andrew.
Oh yeah, well yeah, those I
Elizabeth's
think, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, we know the big names. We know the big names. It's
yeah.
him, it's Prince Andrew, it's him, it's Bill Clinton, and who was the other name?
But like my problem is that like the people in this list, I don't think that they're gonna name those kind of people. Like when I've heard this, that's why I had a problem. Like
No, that
I was
is
like,
no, that those are the names that were redacted. There were over 150 names in the case that were ordered to be redacted and hidden when they first. This is not a new case. This case had been going on. This is when the
right.
pilot of the plane who worked for um, Epstein and flew him several times of the week to his island, to and from places. He said he was the one who said that, yeah, Donald Trump was on that plane, but I never took him to the island. I took him to Florida. He said that. Virginia Goffrey is the one who said, yeah,
Correct.
Donald Trump never did anything. He was never involved with any women on the plane. He just went from New York to Florida, or to somewhere else, but he never went to the island. She minimized his actions. That is the information that that could that's the information that we need. The people, the actual names. These could be bankers, Wall Street financiers, CEOs, government officials, uh, past and present. I think these are names that are highly significant, and we should be. This is a bombshell. This is the bombshell of the decade, of the century, where we're going to really see deep down how deep the corruption was, how deep the influence was of this one man who was tasked to do this for a particular reason. And that's, I think, what we need to know more. Not just get those people and put them in jail if they committed crimes, but seeing what
Yeah, we need to know more.
how did he do this? What was the reasoning, and where did this information go to? That's what we need to know, because that's been cut short. And who's behind this sex trade that we're seeing? That's the significant, also the other aspect about it, because there are children at stake. And this hasn't ended, by the way. People seem to think that because the island's over, that it ended. No, someone else comes in and does this. You see what's happening at the border, where children are being crossed in and out of the country against their will, without anything happening. You don't think that these were associates or business rivals of the former Epstein? machine. It's people are just focusing on the name. Or Will Smith was on the island. Oh my god, oh my god. Yeah, fuck Will Smith. Okay, well, what after? There's more to that. There's more to this.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
more to
right.
this than that. And it's not about, oh yeah, Democrats, they're the pet. No, it's more than that. It's wait a second. This is related to what we talked about with the Trump thing. There is a entire system, a complete apparatus with multiple arms, a military arm, a paramilitary arm, an intelligence gathering, and a spy. It's just complete hidden apparatus behind our government working actively to ensure that I think one of those arms is working 24/7 actively to ensure that their system is never disrupted. That's one of their purposes in this apparatus.
And that's really the scary part. 'Cause you wouldn't expect Jeffrey Epstein to be the whole mastermind of this whole situation.
No.
But you know what's also scary? You never know. There might be another island that they're probably using.
Oh yeah, there's
Um,
20.
yeah, that. Oh yeah, 20?
There's probably 20. And this one's got like fireplaces and roller coasters and Roombas and AI. It's better. It's even better, probably.
Jeez.
I'm sure. No, trust me. And there's probably more Jeffrey Epsteins out there. Do you
Yeah,
think he's the only
exactly.
one?
Yeah.
There's probably maybe 5 more.
No, there's
And we don't
more.
know their names. We don't know anything about them. Imagine that. It's insane.
No, it is scary, and it's insane. It's really scary to listen to all this. But yeah, you are right 100%. Like there's more to it. You need to understand when, why, and who is the mastermind of all this. You can't really expect Jeffrey Epstein to do all this stuff. So,
No, I don't
um,
think anybody is. I think they're just
no,
pretending. I
but
think
like,
people are pretending that once this is done, it's over. Oh yeah, it's the end of an era. I think that's what they're
yeah,
trying to say. Like the media, because the media is not putting
yeah,
this out
exactly,
because
exactly, right.
the media is not putting this out because they hate pedophilia. It's like, no, we know what you're doing here. This is part of this is a mini psyop. You're trying to placate us, saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put out the Jeffrey Epstein stuff so that you can calm down." But it's still
Yeah, and
a
you guys can like
conspiracy theory
chill out and yeah,
because that's what they're still saying in the media. If you go to CBS, where I read this, and the AP and the other places, they're saying, "Yeah, this is a conspiracy theory." It's like conspiracy theory. What? Conspiracy? That you guys still use that word?
So January 1st is the release date, correct? Okay, I did someone article that said January 1st.
January 1st. Oh yeah, we're not getting to 2024. Yeah, the world ends on December 31st. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I've only seen a couple of articles that said January 1st, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows about that? Yeah, no, when I first saw this on Instagram, and the first thing that came up to my mind was, wait, didn't they decide to unseal it before? Like, why is it 2024? Why did they decide to do that? And on top of that, I I said this to you earlier. I'm like, they're not gonna release the big names until this morning. I saw a bunch of articles saying like they're going to release former presidents, the names of the former presidents, and other big names as well. So I'm like,
No,
okay,
that's
all
what's
right.
no,
Well,
no,
let's
no.
see.
That's what Virginia said, not the court, not the media. They're not saying they're releasing names. No, because that would be giving it away. They're not telling you who's in
Mhm.
it. They're just telling you that Virginia, who is the victim of the sex traffic, she's one of the main victims of Jeffrey Epstein. She's the one who says
Oh
that
yeah, right.
don't be surprised if there are these names on there. Not the court, not the media. The media's not saying who's on it. They're not. It's Virginia who's sued for this to all come out. One of the victims, not the
Mhm.
media, not the court. They're not the ones telling you that's former presidents and going to be a lot. No, they're just telling you that over 150 names will be released, which is all of it. Well, the ones that were blocked from coming out in the beginning. That's what they're saying.
Right.
Right. All right.
Well,
So
that
let's
makes
move
sense.
on to the next right here. Okay. Our next topic is a nice one. I think you're gonna enjoy it. The red pill bros again. I just have to. I just have to because
Honestly, man, I'm getting sick and tired of seeing them.
I know you do. But guess what? We love them because I've been seeing. And it's not just them. It's also the right wing that I've noticed that are making these comments about. You know what? have as many children as you should, because Elon Musk came out. Remember, it's people like Elon Musk who have come out and said, um, the problem, the problem with is not it's not that there's too many people; it's that there's not enough. That's what he said with his autistic self. And the right wing who loves him just said, "Yeah, have more kids." And you have people like Tucker saying, "You know what? The best thing in the world is to have more kids." And he's not really saying have more kids. He's saying that if you should, you could, if you can, and if you can have more kids, you should.
Yeah, if you're able to
It's
go
a
for it,
responsible thing to say. But people like Charlie Kirk
yeah.
and many others on the incel, not Charlie Kirk in particular, who's Charlie Kirk's not an incel. I like Charlie, but I think that was a wrong approach, a wrong thing, not the right thing to say, or framed it the wrong way. Because the problem in America with our population isn't that there's too many people, or really, in fact, that there's too little. It's that there aren't enough kids coming from the right backgrounds. And I'm not saying backgrounds in terms of race or gender or etc. I'm talking about kids coming from stable families with two parents, with parents with a sustainable income who are in the middle class or in the upper classes. Most of our children come from the lower classes, single moms, urban centers, poor families. What we should advocate is for young people in their 20s and 30s to have children, but have them in a sustainable way, and to not fall prey for these elusive and destructive and rather expedient ways of thinking of the dinks. You know what the dinks are, right? The DINKS, and it's dual income, no kids,
Ah,
and
okay.
it's this idea that the two people in a relationship are going to have a career at the same time, and they're not going to have kids, and so they're going to have two incomes, high, of course, that's what they want, two high incomes, or two good incomes that are high, or not high, I mean two good dual incomes, so both people with two incomes, and they're not going to have kids, so they'll be able to enjoy the most of life, and that's what they want. They want to enjoy their lives. They don't want the stress or the responsibility of having kids, so they're going to be able to travel, go to concerts, do whatever they want. If they want to get drunk on a Thursday and go back to work on a Friday, they don't have to care, because they don't have to take their kids to school. They don't have to change their kid's
No,
diaper. They're
right.
not gonna give birth. They can just use their abortions, and they can have. It's a very dystopian way of thinking, and and deep down, it's a very selfish way of thinking. To assume that, yeah, you know what, my parents had me, but that's because they weren't successful, because they didn't have high incomes, and if they had high income, they wouldn't have had me. No, your parents may have had high incomes, but they had you because they believed that they were serving a purpose in bringing someone into the world, and raising them to be a capable, responsible, um, forthrightly honest individual. But instead, a selfish prick like you turned out, who now believes that, you know what, I'm smarter than my ancestors. I have a lot. I value money, and I value myself and my own needs and my own desires. So I'm not going to have kids, because you know what? Screw that. Why would I do that and stress myself out? But your parents did that. You're not better. Are you really better than your parents? No, you're just selfish. So that's one thing I really criticize. I just dislike about that notion. It's this modern notion that, kids, and then they also bring it in towards, I'm also helping the environment by not having kids. It's like, what? No, you're not. You're not, because
We're running out of resources.
we're running out of resources. No, that's who told you that? That's
The
not.
government.
It's ridiculous. But these people, they think that, and they say, and then they're also the same people that get the dogs, so they're like, I'm a dog mom, or I'm a dog dad, or I'm a cat mom.
Oh God, I hate that
It's
so much.
ridiculous.
I
It's
hate that
it's
so much.
it's the same people that instead of calling it a baby, they call it a fetus. Dehumanizing. It's dehumanizing, and they really fall for it, and they really advocate for these processes. Um, it's ridiculous, and it's sickening. But now we have the right who's combating that and saying, you know what, have a lot of kids, have a lot of kids. But that's irresponsible, because first off, you're putting your woman has to have these kids, right? You just inseminate her, right? But you
Yeah,
don't carry it.
right.
So she has to carry it. And who has to work? Well, it's you, obviously, because she can't work while she's pregnant. It's not ideal. She could, but it's not ideal. It's not the best thing. Um, if you don't have a good job, and you don't have a career, and you don't have a good place to live, you shouldn't be having children. But these people who now believe this red pill incel almost right-wing conservative male ideology to the T, to the letter, all of it. They buy all of it. See, I buy most of it, but I don't buy all of it. I don't recommend you do. You shouldn't buy all of one ideology. I don't. Um, you know what? Like, you shouldn't have kids if you're not able to have them. If you're not mature, if you're not responsible, if you have addiction problems, if you have issues, you shouldn't have kids. You're not. If you can't take care of yourself, how can you take care of a child? And if you don't have a job, how can you raise one? If you don't have an actual house to live to put them in, or a good apartment, not a luxury apartment, a good apartment in a safe community where you can raise a child without worrying about the outside world barging in, knocking down your home in a home invasion. Yeah, you know what? You shouldn't have children. But these incels who are just adolescents, they don't understand this. They insist that the reason why we don't have children is because it's the woman's fault. Everything is on the woman. Everything is blamed on her. And I saw this one guy who was on a podcast. That's the name of an actual show. Insanely enough, pretty much going after a woman.
What's the guy's name? I don't remember his name.
Maybe when you see him, you'll know. But you know,
Oh, him? Yeah, I don't know his name.
and said he came out and remember, these incel podcasts, what they do is that they bring women on who are promiscuous. They're OnlyFans whores. They're thoughts. They're girls that just they're easy to have, not easy to have sex with, because that's kind of what they're driven by. They want to be around people with influence, and they sell themselves and their sexual appetite as a way of getting around these guys with money. They like that. And these guys who watch these shows don't like that because, well, maybe they weren't lucky enough, or they weren't good looking enough, or charismatic enough, or social enough, or maybe they were just too broke and boring to get any access to these women or talk with these type of women. So let's take a listen to what he says and give me your thoughts afterwards.
A lot of things will be hard for you to comprehend. That's why you're in sex work, because you can't offer value in the marketplace.
What the
Don't worry, I'm not really talking to you. I'm speaking against you as a symbol.
A symbol of what?
A symbol of a declining society where people lack values. So the point is this. If you had IQ and skills to offer to the marketplace, you can earn a good income. Being that the most valuable thing about you is something that you never earned. You didn't earn knowledge, you didn't earn skills. It's your breast that you paid for and your butthole. So you market that to earn money, which is to say, if I took your brain and placed your brain into a man's body, you would be in poverty.
I'm just good for nothing. Yep, you caught me.
No, you are good for something. That's why you have OnlyFans. And that's my point, is that that's what you're good for.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that approach, and I get it. Guys are like, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but why are you attacking her? That's not most women. My biggest problem with this incel is that they target women who are specifically on OnlyFans, or they're prostitutes, or they just have an affinity for having sex, and they use that as a way to get access with men with higher income, not really value, because having a lot of money doesn't mean that you're higher value. You can have a lot of money, but be an asshole, be a prick, be ignorant, be stupid, be the worst human on planet Earth or in the universe. And no woman is going to want to be with you. No real woman is going to want to be with you. But they confuse that with these type of girls who, yeah, that's their skill. You know what? That is a skill. Being good at sex is a skill. I'm sorry to tell you, buddy. I mean, it's obviously apparent that he's not. This is kind of the equivalent of when Ben Shapiro went after the wet ass pussy thing. It's like, I mean, that what? I just can't believe that these guys just continue to believe this, and it's a very dark message to tell people and to tell women that, you know what, you are the problem, that the men are not, they're not men. These aren't men. These are man children. These are man children. These are that's the man child right there, who's effectively telling you that you don't have the skills and IQ because I determined that you don't have them. There's a girl who's been on that show, and I've seen her on IG because I've seen these clips on IG. She's a lawyer, and she quit her lawyer job to be an OnlyFans model. Does she not have the IQ or the knowledge to not be an OnlyFans model? No, she does have knowledge. She does have IQ. And that does. And by the way, IQ doesn't determine anything. There are people with IQs.
No, that's why I hate so much. I hate when people do that shit so much.
You're not doing
yeah.
And when I hear about the knowledge, Thomas Sowell had this quote pretty much, and I'll just butcher it and summarize it at the whole, where it's like, behind every disaster in the country, there's a Harvard man or woman behind it. This badly run government, this government, led the Biden government, I bet you there's a lot of people from Yale, Harvard, and Georgetown behind it. Pretty prestigious schools. They're creating disasters in this country. That's not really, they're not so smart, are they? So this idea that this knowledge or these skills, maybe she does have a skill. Maybe it's being able to alter the algorithm or understand marketing or social media. That's a skill.
Yeah.
Maybe
right.
she's just good at talking with people and she can convince and she can have and she has access to talking and being around people who have higher income. That's her skill, talking to rich people. That's a skill.
It is a skill.
She has charisma, she has nice tits, and she's able to market that to the workplace. I'm sorry, maybe his bald head isn't getting him anywhere, but like I don't understand. I don't see the goodness in telling and showing off that in these podcasts when you bring women of one sector of life, which is a very small segment of society, and tell them that, hey, yeah, look, you in our view represent most women because none of you would date us. Those hoes alike. That's where the hoes and most women are similar. They would never date guys like that when they were younger. So then they become incels or red pill dudes. They become people that effectively just hate women or especially thoughts because those thoughts never gave them the time of day when they were younger, when they were broke, and when they were unknown. Women didn't want them. So now they come on these podcasts and they attack them. It's fraud.
Without doing any, yeah, exactly.
And I think it's a
without
disservice.
even trying to better yourself. The only thing they want to do is
And
just
it's a
attack them.
misservice. And it's a misservice and a tremendously damaging thing for these boys to tell young men and young boys effectively, you know what? If you don't find a girl, if you can't get married or find a woman that you think is suited for you, and by the way, the women that they're telling you that you need that are actually good women are ridiculous. That they're virgin, that they're 18 or 19. There was a one point where some of them, like Pearl, was saying that, yeah, 16-year-olds should get married. What?
That
Disgusting. And then, I mean, it's completely outrageous. They're
pedophiles say that
saying
shit.
oh, you know what? They're not in America anymore. Go down to South America. Go to the clubs, and you'll find them there. Ridiculous. Another one got killed this week.
And I think it's from Tennessee.
They're sending these guys to their deaths. You're sending these guys down a road to loneliness. It's the equivalent of feminism. It's manonism. It's effectively feminism for boys because they're teaching them to be miserable. They're showing them that they're not telling them, you know what? Yeah, work out, but you know what? Be interesting. Get a book. Develop a hobby. You know, young men, if you just, working out isn't it? Yeah, working out is good for your health, but it's not for you to become a man. That doesn't mean you're a man. Just because you have a tattoo and you work out, that doesn't mean you're a man. You could be a man child.
No, yeah, I do agree with you with that. Actually,
you have to have. Women don't want to talk to a guy that just has money and has nothing else. See, that's why they're still miserable because they have Bitcoin and they have the money, but no women still want to be with them forever. It's only those type of women. Or maybe that's the point. Maybe the point of this red pill thing was for you to get money and go to South America or gain money so that you could bang these women. Because maybe at the end of the day, it's not that you couldn't find a girlfriend that was traditional. Maybe it's not that you couldn't find a normal woman. Maybe it's that the women that you wanted all looked like that, had big tits and nice asses and nice waists, and none of those ones that you wanted never wanted to talk to you. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the point of the red pill. That the hot women, the thick women in Miami never wanted you until you had money. Because guess what? That's all those type of women wanted, perhaps. Perhaps all they like is money and access and the ability for you to go pay for a yacht for a day. The ability for you to go out and buy them jewelry or bags or take them out to fancy restaurants. Maybe that's what they want. So who got played in the end? You. Because you went on this where you had this big temper tantrum, you went on all this rampage, and at the end of the day, you're still hanging out with the girl who never wanted you when you weren't this. Because that's at the end of the day what I really believe that these guys are. They don't believe in traditional marriage. If they believed in traditional marriage, they wouldn't be going down to Colombia.
Then they wouldn't be going around. Yeah, exactly.
Or Panama looking for a 19-year-old whore. in a nightclub.
Looking for sex and all that
They're-
stuff.
they're
Yeah.
not. They wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because like I've told you, traditional women in those countries do not live in nightclubs. They don't hang out in the streets all day looking for an American. They don't. They have lives. In fact, you talk to a woman from a normal country like that, sometimes they don't even want to marry a foreigner. Sometimes they find them obnoxious and ridiculous because they see these children flying without their parents, who they still live with. I find it absolutely ridiculous. And I think it's a toxic message. It's a toxic message that they're promoting. Toxic. Instead of
Yeah.
telling them, you know what, you can have the tattoo, but that doesn't make you a man or not. That doesn't make you cool or not, because you could be still boring and bland if you have a tattoo. You can work out because it's health for you, and you should because it's healthy, not because it's good for women, not because it's good for you. It's good for your confidence and yourself and your own personal self. That's why it's good for you. But in addition to that, you know what? Get educated, learn skills, be able to do something. Find something you like. If you like to write, be a writer. If you like to read, read. Read different types of books. Ride horseback, play golf, play volleyball at the Y, play basketball. Be interesting. Have a niche, like sports. Do something. But be interesting. That's what women like. Women like a guy who can hold the conversation, bring up new topics, keep them interested, make them laugh. That's what women like. Women don't like a guy who just has money but who's a complete asshole. They don't want that. Real women, traditional women, won't stay for that. They won't. They won't stay for the
Yeah, and
they'll stay for the person.
it's funny, like today's day and age, guys can't even make a girl laugh or hold a good conversation at all.
Many of them
can't.
can't, and many of them are.
They don't have that kind of skill, and that's pretty sad. Yeah.
They're all coming from these. They're all coming from these incel pages where it's all blame the woman, blame the woman, blame the woman. But maybe it's blame.
It's easy to be that keyboard warrior, but they won't do it right in their face. No, yeah. No, you're right.
No, they'll just go cry and go online and say, she cheated on me because I was boring. No, that's what they'll do. I have another video here for you to check out because Fresh and Fit, Myron from Fresh and Fit, has a feud with
Yeah,
Andrew
this one was
Tate.
out of nowhere.
This is out of nowhere. I have no idea why, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm all for it. I'm on Andrew Schultz and Akash's side. I mean, Akash was pretty much right. Like, I don't know what DJ. By the way, DJ Academics, who was, by the way, roasted and defeated on Fresh and Fit by an OnlyFans model. She roasted the hell out of him.
I don't lie, my man's from Fresh and Fit was like, yo, damn, that dude still hating on us, man.
Wait, what's up with Fresh and Fit? Are they still doing it?
They cooling.
But are they still doing the pod?
Yeah, of course, you mean still doing it. You not watching?
I didn't know that they're still doing the pod.
Where can you think they died?
No, I don't know. Maybe
they got demonetized. You know, it was a minor setback for a major comeback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, don't laugh like that. That was disrespectful.
No, but tell us. So what's going on? Like, are they still? But they're still doing the pod.
They're still doing the pod, man.
That's fire,
they
bro.
got some different monetization strategies.
What else are they working on? What's their different monetization strategies?
What's up with y'all, man?
Yo, what's their different monetization strategies?
Nah, hold on, man. I don't like how y'all. I feel like y'all been.
You brought him up. I ain't bring him up. You brought him up. Don't be upset at us for shit you bring up.
Y'all praying on my man's downfall.
Praying on downfall? You asked me if we watched their podcast. I'm a 40-year-old man who's happy. Why would I watch that podcast?
We're all married, bro. We're all married. I only watch it when I'm fighting with my wife. I'll be like, these guys get me. These guys understand, bro. They understand women.
4 days every month I watch that shit probably.
Yo,
4 days every month.
On the red days. On the red days. You
Red day I'm red pill.
No, but for real, can you still watch it? Do they have their own website? Or how do you
It's
watch
on
the
YouTube
pod?
still. What do you think it's at?
I thought the podcast got taken off YouTube.
No, got demonetized. That's the new way.
What does that mean?
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and do needs to clarify that a little bit more.
I'm a 40-year-old man and happy. Why would I watch that?
Yeah,
But
dude.
yeah, that's kind of the point. Like, why would you watch that if you're not miserable and broke and boring? Like, I never
exactly.
found it interesting. I mean, you know, does the occasional dude telling a lib who's like a lib, because sometimes they bring libs on who are also OnlyFans women and just destroy them on the fact that they have no facts on, you know, politics. I like that. That's fun. I like that. It's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Every now and then a hoe does need to be educated on the issue. She doesn't know that. That's not her place. But the other stuff is just ridiculous. Just throw it out. Just throw it out. To hell. Throw the whole thing. Throw the whole damn thing out. Thoughts? Because this was random, but like Akash said, you brought them up. I'm not Akash. It was Andrew who said
Yeah,
like, you brought them up.
Andrew said that.
Preying on their downfall. Like nobody was like, yeah. I thought that they stopped. I mean, not stopped, but I thought they were taken down and that they were like going on Rumble or something. Or I don't know.
Yeah, I thought they also went to Rumble as well. Well, he didn't even mention that. He just said no, they're still working on, just still on
Well, they're
YouTube.
probably
But
on both. I mean, but I thought that they were like moving off YouTube or something because they did get
I,
I thought that's what I thought.
so wait, so what happened with DJ? What's the name again? DJ what?
Well, if you go into it, he got roasted by an OnlyFans model because he went after her saying that like she was like skipping dudes, like moving from one guy to the other guy, using them up and like, which is that's what they do. Like, why are you like what?
Okay.
And then she just called him out for being a loser. Like, yeah, but you're just mad because I wouldn't go with you. That's why you're mad.
Uh-huh.
And he freaked out, I
So,
guess, and he got triggered and they started going
so
back
he
and
got
forth.
pissed off and all that shit.
Yeah, he got triggered. So she was just like, yeah, but you're just mad I wouldn't go with you, which is kind of, I guess, probably the point. I mean,
Yeah.
because I
No,
guess
I actually
'cause
like what.
she had used him. She had used one guy for papers because she's like Brazilian, I think. I don't even know if that's DJ Academic. I think it is. But she had used him up. She had used some, not him, but from some other dude for like papers. And then when she got the paper, she dumped him and went to another guy. And then she moved on to another guy. So she's been using dudes up for like her own use. That's what they do. That's what they do. But they're like a different class. Obviously, these are whores. Why would you compare them to normal women? So he
Yeah,
was
exactly.
trying to point it out like, oh yeah, but you're not a. It's like you're just jealous. You're just angry. I wouldn't be with you. That's it. Because you're like, what? That's in classic response. He got triggered. So
Yeah,
that's what happened on
yeah.
that show. But yeah, no, I mean, like, dude, it's such a toxic. I love what Akash said, and he's been growing on me. I love that guy. He's like, I'm 40 years old and happy. Why would I watch it? Like,
Dude, yeah, no, I
yeah,
was gonna mention that, yeah, it's legit. Like, why would I watch that
if
kind of
you have a
show
life,
or podcast? And yeah, and I'm happy. I'm married. I have all these things that keep me happy. Why would I want to watch that?
yeah.
Makes no sense.
Let me just say this: if you're a young man, if you're a man, an adult man, or a young man, or whatever, if you're happy in your life, content, not perfect, but if you're content, if you're in a relationship, if you're married, or maybe you're not in a relationship, but just enjoying your life and you have hobbies and you have skills and you don't have to love your job, but you have a job that, you make a decent wage or you're in school
Yeah,
and you're progressing
yeah,
towards something, but you have a life, you have friends, you go to parties, you have a social life, you have a hobby, you like playing sports, you go to the Top Golf, you go to the arcade, you do whatever you do. Why would you don't watch this? There's nothing there. There's nothing for you there. You're going to become miserable.
when oh yeah,
You're going to become a miserable young man or adult man who will end up being alone because you will grow to be paranoid and angry and lonely and just depressed because that's what they are. These are losers. You will adopt a loser broke mentality. They're not teaching you how to be a man. They're not teaching you how to become wealthy. Some do, but they're not. Stop. Don't believe them. That's what you will become. Don't go. If you're happy, don't go. Stay. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. You're good kings. Those kings, I salute them. Your thoughts?
yeah, no, yeah. Like I was just happy with what Akash was saying perfectly. Like why would I watch that shit knowing the fact that I'm happy? I'm not miserable. I have what I have. And guys who are watching those podcasts are miserable or have not been miserable yet, but still trying to
Yeah.
figure out who the hell
And
they are.
Myron is coming after Andrew Schultz saying that let's see, he already put it out an episode.
I
Oh,
don't understand the guy at all. The same guy who attacks women for doing OnlyFans. This guy is at I think it's called Seeking Arrangements.
And Zerka
I think
has come after him. Coming
Zerka's
after Andrew Schultz. Who else? Yeah, but let me just go back to seeing what the
I wouldn't be surprised Nico goes
Pearl
go attack him.
Davis.
Oh,
Pearl is
Pearly, of
going
course.
after Andrew Schultz, saying that he's a failed comedian. Failed comedian.
She fucking disappointed me, man. What a
What?
dumbass.
Andrew Schultz made his career sucking off the industry and still has the same sized YouTube channel as us. What?
No, Andrew grew a lot. Andrew did his thing. I've seen, like, I remember,
So
like, the first time. I remember the first time I watched some of his comedies. He was doing stand up in front of like small people. Now he's doing
Now
against
they're
like
being accused of being
huge.
liberals. They're not really political. They're not really political. But anyways,
They're not
Andrew
that political,
commented
no.
because Myron said Andrew Schultz and Akash Singh are some of the biggest snakes on YouTube. Fuck them and their whole team at Flagrant. Andrew Schultz said, Myron, you are a sensitive, talentless, bottom-feeding grifter. Your life's work is renting women and regurgitating other people's talking points. Your arms are not developed enough for the shirts you wear, and your co-host is pimping you. Merry Christmas, kisses.
Jeez. Oh my
Myron
god.
replied, saying, Grifter? I saved thousands of men from suicide. Yeah, but you're sending them to their deaths in Latin America. Help them get in shape. You're not a trainer. Invest in creating wealth. You're not wealthy. Attract their dream girls. You're not doing that. You're telling them to go sleep with whores and live better lives. They're miserable. What have you done? Be born with a silver spoon in your mouth and tell shitty jokes with your pussy co-host? They're funnier than you. We have a same platform size and we have only been on YouTube for 3 years. Unlike you, we didn't have to suck any industry dick from Joe Rogan or Charlamagne the Great. Yet you did. You suck off Andrew Tate all the goddamn time.
Oh, he does that a lot.
Unlike you, since my arms aren't developed, how about you stop being an internet tough guy and put on some boxing gloves? He's never a tough guy. He's literally a sweetheart. He's funny. That's all he is. He's a comic.
Why does it always
by a comic? No, you got roasted by a comic and now you're triggered and want to fight. Who's a pussy here? You, dude. Come on now. Let's see how many jokes you can make with a swollen face. All right, dude. And then someone here commented, and this dude here who commented, Adam Bozzarelli, he's not famous, but for the sake of it, let's make him famous. I don't know about anybody else, but when a dude suggests a fight after saying two things in an argument, I assume the other dude is right. Yeah,
dude,
exactly.
yeah, I was gonna say, why does it have to resort to violence? I don't understand.
Leonard,
his main message to tell guys don't be emotional, but he's being emotional right now.
Exactly. Leonard says, like, anybody, anything. Myron, put the boxing gloves on. Oh my god.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And this idea that if you have Nick Fuentes on your show, that makes you insanely intelligent and a hero. That's the stupidest thing ever. Nick Fuentes is ridiculous. He is a legit racist, and if given a national platform, would give conservatives some of the biggest losses in human history. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of this Nick Fuentes thing. He's a Hispanic who thinks he's completely Caucasian. Come on now. What are we talking about? Look at his last name, Fuentes. Come on now, stop it.
Fuentes.
All right, but we've reached the end of this episode here. Yeah, I mean, really good discussions here.
I'm not gonna lie. Talking about the red pill really annoys the fuck out of me, but it's really nice to see you shit on them sometimes.
And we have to be the counterpoint with some of the people countering them, because they have a lot of people buying into those lies. But people need to understand that not all right. First of all, they ruined the right wing. Not because I get it. You don't like that they use red pill, but forget about that. They are the majority of the people on that community in the manosphere. They identify to be right wing, or people perceive them to be right wing because they assume
that's true,
that they want traditional things, but they don't. So I think it's important that as conservative men, that we push back and say, yeah, no, you know what? No, you shouldn't be doing the things or saying the things they do. Pursuit of wealth for the sake of pursuit of wealth or accessing sexual opportunity or materialistic things, that's not a virtuous thing. That's not a good thing at the end. It's not. I think we should be pointing those things out. I think more people should. That's why we're doing it. I'm not doing it because I dislike Myron on a personal level. I don't know him and I don't care about him. I just don't like the message.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree with you. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it is also fun trolling and shitting on them because it's hilarious.
No, it is. It is hilarious. It is.
Yeah. All right, yeah, we're at the end of this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys like. Hope you guys will subscribe. All of our audio listeners out there, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Not a lot of graphics or presentations this time, so it's been a good audio episode. If you're just listening to us on Spotify or iTunes or whatever the hell you get your podcasts, you can find us everywhere. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time.